All right, today's video, we are going to talk about whether a diesel is worth it in 2024. The way I'm going to talk about this is from my own personal perspective. Now, I have had my truck for about 3 years. I tend to tow between 6,000 and 10,000 pounds, usually bumper pull campers. I have an F-250 with the Powerstroke 6.7, and just right off the bat, I definitely don't need it. I think a lot of people buy trucks, and I bought this truck because I am a diesel enthusiast. I like the extra power, and especially with how many miles I drive, I kind of wanted the longevity of a diesel. I drive between 5,000 and 7,000 miles a month, and so probably by the end of this year, I'll be well over 200,000 miles on the engine, transmission, and body of this pickup truck. And so the way I like to think about this is there are two groups of people who should get a diesel. On the one hand, there's the enthusiasts. There's people like me that like diesels. They like driving them. They like the power. Maybe you like tuning, doing mods, whatever. They're fun trucks to have. Outside of the enthusiasts, the other group are people that tow. And I feel like if you're gonna tow, you probably shouldn't get an F-250 unless, I don't know, for some reason are towing commercially. And that kind of works out for me. Again, doing a lot of miles. I like having a diesel, and I know I can run it up to like 500,000 miles with little to no issues. Now, I think in a 250 in general, a diesel doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially if you have a CDL. To get the most out of a diesel engine, you should be buying an F450 because that has the highest payload capacity of any of these trucks. Now, the only problem is if you don't have a CDL and you're towing commercially with an F450, it doesn't really work because I don't even know. The truck's GVWR is probably over 11.5 at least. The new F350s are 12,000 GVWR. So like having a 250 is nice because it keeps you under 26,000. But if you're under 26,000, you also probably don't need a diesel because of the new 7.3 gas engines. And so I think if you're towing commercially a lot on the highway and you have a CDL, getting an F450 or an F350 dually to make full use of the power plant in the 6.7 by loading it with as much weight as you can makes a ton of sense. Guys that are hot shots, towing those huge shipping containers on the highway on their gooseneck with their 450, or towing cars or whatever, those people need diesel trucks. But at a certain point for business, I think a diesel stops making sense. I had several friends in high school that ran construction and landscape companies, and one in particular, who will leave nameless, only runs gas trucks because he said diesels are too expensive, and he tows a skid steer and a mini excavator around town. Now, in his own words, he said if I was towing these an hour on the highway, I would buy a diesel. But for my business, it doesn't make sense for me to buy a diesel when I'm just driving around town. I'd probably have problems with emissions because the trucks don't get hot enough, or they're idling a lot, or I'm doing short trips. And so to me, from a business perspective, having a diesel, if you're not traveling on the highway and towing heavy all the time, doesn't make a lot of sense because the maintenance costs are high, and diesels can be very temperamental. So you know that guy that you hired isn't going to treat that expensive truck you bought him to drive as well as you would. And so to me, having a gas is a way better business investment if you don't need to tow heavy long distances, if you're towing short distances. Now, in general, I think if you aren't a diesel enthusiast and you just want a pickup truck to tow your camper on the weekends, or you really don't think you need the power, getting the 7.3 gas in a 250 seems like the best possible option. You save 800 pounds because the gas engine is a lot lighter than the diesel, so you get more payload capacity left over. To me, it makes a lot more sense. The 7.3 makes a lot more sense in the 250 and in the 350 single rear wheel because you get a big power plant, it's nice and torquey, but it's at the same time cheap to maintain. And if you don't care if your truck makes turbo noises or if you can tune it and, blow past Honda Civics on the highway, then why would you bother getting a diesel and dealing with DEF and dealing with fuel filters and worrying about the CP4 and all this stuff? And yes, the 7.3 gas motor may not last as long, but it's a crate motor. When it fails, you could just buy another one and plop it in your gas truck, and you're just filling it up with gas. And then there's the fuel economy, right? But I think when you're towing, it seems kind of negligible. All right, thanks for staying with me. So to round out this conversation and to summarize my thoughts, I think there are two categories for people looking to get a truck. And this is obviously overly simplified for the purpose of this video. But there are the people that need a truck to do commercial work. There are people that are recreational. In these two swim lanes, say, the people doing commercial, if you don't have a CDL, it's probably not worth getting a diesel. You should get a 7.3 because you're never going to be towing enough to warrant having a diesel to do commercial work. Now, in that commercial vein, people who have a CDL, the next branch over, you should get a diesel 450 because you can take more loads. The truck is built to do commercial work. It comes with commercial tires, yada, yada, yada. It's built to haul a lot of weight, and those trucks are insane. They can, tow 32,000 pounds now. So if you're a hotshotter or whatever with a CDL doing commercial work, get a diesel. Great. Now, in the other swim lane, we have the non-commercial people trying to tow stuff. If you know you're going to be towing a fifth wheel or something that's above 15,000 pounds, right? Like anything above 12,000 pounds to me seems like you're kind of getting into the territory, especially if you're towing it far, right? If you're going to be going through the mountains in Colorado or on I-70 or I-80 through the west at all, and towing more than 12,000 pounds, seems like you should probably be a candidate for diesel, even just for the exhaust brake, right? So that would be, the other swim lane of, and then there's, in that non-commercial, there's people who are the diesel enthusiasts, obviously get a diesel. They're fun to do mods to. I get it. And then lastly, in that non-commercial group, there's people who should just get a gas truck. So there's, diesel enthusiasts, people who tow a heavy fifth wheel or snowmobile trailer or something that's a gooseneck fifth wheel, need to tow, and need a diesel. And then there's the people in that group that should not have a diesel, who don't want to have to worry about the maintenance. They're not making money with their truck. Maybe they have a bumper pull camper, or they have a bumper pull trailer, or a small fifth wheel, or a small gooseneck. They should just get a 7.3 gas truck. And I know there's plenty of channels now that are testing out the capacity of the 7.3 Godzilla. And so, I would say that is kind of a gray area, right? Like if you really want the power of a diesel and you don't mind the headaches, go with it. If I was running a business and I didn't already own a diesel truck, I would go out and buy, especially being non-CDL, I would go out and buy a F250 or an F350 single rear wheel long bed and get the Godzilla motor in it. I think that it'd be a way better use of money and would just prevent way more headaches. And again, that's me talking as someone who owns a small business. I'm not, I'm towing campers now more to supplement my film business income because I'm in the slow season and I have to travel for film anyway a lot. So it kind of matches up nice. I just tow, 30 to 35 foot travel trailers to where I'm filming, drop them off, get paid, go do my other gig, get paid, and drive home. And so it works well. But like if I was just going to do the tow camper thing and try to be profitable, I would be getting a 7.3 gas truck. Thank you very much for spending your time on my channel. I appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. I know I was looking at my analytics the other day and there's a very large proportion of people that watch my channel but are not subscribed. So please do, and then you will get my videos in your page and then you can find them easier instead of having to search for my channel all the time. Thank you again. We'll see you next time here on Powerstroke Maintenance. Cheers.